Pre-podcast to the podcast.
All right, we're cooking.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We should work on intro. So should we just be like, welcome to the Pixel Den podcast. We're your hosts, Sebastian and Dan. Another day, another pixel adventure, or some with whack-ass shit. Like,
Yeah,
just something to get us in there.
I think a part of me wants to play around with the idea of not doing like an intro episode where we act as if we've been doing it for like forever, but not like lying to it, but just act as if. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead of so like
It's
essentially
like, you motherfuckers, did you catch last week's episode of The Boys?
yes, shit like that. Kind of just like
Dan, I don't want to do this
like
today.
yeah. Exactly.
Dan, I had a pretty bad week.
Yeah, pretty much.
You better listen to this podcast and like and subscribe and sponsor, because I did not want to do this week.
I always like the idea of the
Okay.
as if the podcast is like as if you're just walking into the conversation.
Dude, how you been, man? You look like shit, man.
I'm very tired.
Something like that. I like
yeah.
that. I like that. I think the first episode we should be like, this is the Pixel Den podcast.
Oh no, yeah, like it should absolutely.
But after
start,
that,
yeah, I
hell
think it
yeah.
should
Casual
absolutely
as hell.
start with the title. You know,
Yeah.
like it's like essentially like, and I also think we should trade off like quote unquote hosting.
Yeah.
You know, because like
You'll be the lead man, and then
every other.
and then
like,
every other.
essentially
I
every
like
other
that.
So
I was thinking that too.
'Cause
That's a good idea.
to ease up on the because to carry the conversation. Not that me and you have to really do that.
No, but it's good because like it'll. I think depending on the topic too, I think one is better equipped at leading the conversation than others, so I'm down for that. Like, the first one we can kind of go back and forth. The second one, you can take charge or I can take charge, and the following week the other person. I like that. I think that adds.
Yeah, because that host would like do the intro and then just kind of get the conversation going and then going from there.
Yeah, because often in a lot of podcasts, I feel like, when it's a multi-person podcast too, there's the person that's you can tell is like the leader of it, is driving anything, and everyone else is kind of just reacting to it or doesn't have much to say, right? Kind of like famously, Joe Rogan a lot is the dominant guy in every conversation, mostly.
Even with the people,
that are like, talk a lot, he will still command the conversation. Yeah. But I think as far as a different approach for our podcast, I think it'll be good if we kind of alternate back and forth. Yeah. Because like I said, there. As our conversations go on, we may touch upon a topic that say you might know more than me, or I might know more than you, and then we kind of like we can gauge like we've basically our Discord conversations are our podcast.
Essentially, that's what it's gonna be. Yeah, it'll be that where.
Like someone starts it off and then we just snowball.
You just go.
We just snowball.
But I think like that's where the host, where it's like, all right, we've been talking about this for like 45 minutes. It's time to move on,
and there's fatigue. There's obviously fatigue, and we don't. I feel like we go off each other and we both like kind of go back and forth well enough that we don't have to have a dominant voice for the whole podcast. So I like that idea. I think we should roll with that. Yeah. And
like I said, let's do it like a quick 2-second. Hey, welcome to the Pixel Den.
That's our first episode.
This is this, and then
my name's Sebastian, and then you'd be like, "What's up? This is Dan," and then be like. So we're here to talk about all things pixel related. If you don't know what a pixel is, then you are not our audience.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It's like essentially, if cool.
But if you're a sponsor, hey, we're willing to say and do whatever. Carvel Ice Cream special.
I'm sure Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends
is looking for somebody. At this point.
Oh, we love Fortnite too, by the way. Now that
listen, I have played so much fucking Fortnite because of my nephew. It's painful.
So here's the interesting thing about Fortnite, because Tom, my buddy Tom, you saw him on 4th of July. He's playing Fortnite. He told me that I'm playing something I never thought I would ever play, Fortnite. Yeah. Why? Because of the no building.
So here's how I think
could have something as simple as that change the dynamic of a game.
Okay, so my nephew was like in that. He's super into fucking Fortnite. Like every fucking kid, like he's really
he's
into
like,
it.
Like 12 or something like that.
Yeah, now he's 12,
Okay.
and he's super into Fortnite. Yeah, he's the demographic for fucking Fortnite. But but you know, I got to be the cool uncle because if you know, seen this room, like I'm I'm that uncle.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm the uncle with all the toys, all the games, all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I was playing Fortnite with him. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll play Fortnite with you. And then he would start hitting me. Then he found out I had PlayStation, so now he's hitting me up on PlayStation. And I'm like, all right, sure, I'll play Fortnite with you. But I had to play so much that I got good. Like I'm not like the old man that's carrying him. So it sucked. But then I got kind of down like a deep rabbit hole with it. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I bought some skins. Okay. I bought some skins. I totally bought some skins.
That's when you know you're
It
deep.
was Mando from Mandalorian. I bought the Star Wars pack.
To the credit. Like,
I am a 35-year-old man. I am perfectly allowed to spend my earned money on some goddamn Fortnite skins.
You're not asking for mommy and daddy's credit. It's your own money.
It's my damn money,
You
okay?
can do whatever the hell you want with it. Absolutely.
But I made a rule. I'm like, the building part, I'm full boomer with that shit. Like that's not gonna happen. So I was like, all right, let me see if I can get good without building.
Yeah.
Goddamn, I got fucking good without building.
Yeah. It's funny because like when my buddy, Tom is like us. He plays shooters. He plays a lot of Call of Duty. He plays Overwatch. And he was like, dude, like me and Sean McGinn, who's an old classmate of ours, is like, we are playing Fortnite. What have we become? But honestly, like, we're playing, and it's like you said, you're in that deep rabbit hole of continuing to play.
It's like
because it's casual. Like you don't have to commit to it.
And I
play
also
a few games. And,
I played a shit ton of battle royales, like all of them.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and I remember like actively hating Fortnite because it's Fortnite, But then after a while, I was like, all right. And then I got into it. I'm like, you know what? It's like the most arcadey, casual shooter out there, like you just said. So to me, that was like, all right, might as well. Like that's where we're gonna be at.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you can stomach playing with like 12-year-olds.
And the cool thing is you can just mute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was, so. And then I played a lot on the PC, and then like it's got cross save, so you can play on both.
That's something I hope other shooter games
Some of them are doing it. PlayStation doesn't have to, because everybody's got a place. Like right now, it's the best-selling console, so they don't really need to do it. That's why, like when you hear like these stories about like Microsoft going hardcore with, oh, we are cross-compatible, we're cross-play, everybody loves this. This is great. Yeah. Because they have to, because they need to get the numbers up. We totally link up with the Switch and PC, but Sony won't let us because Sony's like, we're at the top of the mountain. We're not gonna. This
Why
only
do we have to bow down to you?
This hurts us. You know, I mean, it's there's no reason to jump on that. So
it's so interesting to see, because I feel like there are certain games that like they could be like dead in the water, and then all of a sudden you just find yourself playing it again.
Oh yeah,
like Overwatch. I felt like when Overwatch 2 came out, people were hesitant, obviously, because I feel like Overwatch was flattening out.
Oh, it definitely. It was borderline
obviously
considered.
Because of, the Blizzard situation.
Well, yes, the Blizzard situation doesn't help, but also I think that game, Overwatch, got to the point where it was pretty much considered dead.
Yeah.
There's actually let me pull it up. There's actually a really decent YouTuber who does like deep dives on games that fail and why they fail.
I love those videos.
And really well produced for this like guy in the basement. Like he has a really good voiceover sound, and his editing is really good. Let me pull up his, and he comes out with like one like every couple months. Where is he? And
does he just do games, or does he do?
He just does games. Nerd Slayer Studios.
Nerd Slayer.
I'll shoot you the link. This guy. I found him because he did he has a series called Death of a Game, and he goes into, and these are like 40-minute videos. Like he goes into like deep dives as to why some games, which should not fail. Mm-hmm. Like he. But then he goes and so he'll like he has a prime example of like
New World.
He talks about New World.
Oh, he did Overwatch 5
He did
months ago.
Overwatch. Oh yeah, considering a dead game. He does a lot of like games that I like. Why did Elder Scrolls Online fail? You know, why did?
God, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I mean that was a great guy. But like I found him because I used to be a really big Dark Age of Camelot player.
Ah,
Like that was my first MMO. Okay.
Yeah. When did that come out?
We were in I think we were in middle school.
Middle school, right?
I was playing on 56K.
Early 2000s.
To give you a general idea where we're at with that.
That was probably like around the Y2K. Like,
yeah, Y2K. I think we were. Let me put it this way: my old D&D crew were playing it. Like it was like heist middle school,
second edition squad.
My book's right over there. Like, but he did like a talk on why the game failed, and it's not so much like it released and they failed. He goes into it was super popular. Why didn't it have legs? Why didn't it keep going?
Yeah, why didn't it have life?
Nerd Slayer Studios. He does really good deep dives.
I'm just checking a lot of these.
And he's been doing this forever. Like, he's got a ton of videos. He's never, like, in the world of YouTube, doesn't have a crazy follower count. He's only got, like, 353,000, which sounds like a lot, but in YouTube, where...
Yeah.
Like...
You got, like people running 2 million and whatever.
Yeah, like give you a general idea, like who's another good guy, like Overly Sarcastic, like productions, like they have like almost 2 million people, like and that then that's just like, and that's a history and novel like discussion group.
Yeah, it's like you can find hidden gems of like those video essays, like I think
I love those. Those are some of my favorite YouTube
yeah,
shit.
like what's that dude's name? Every Frame is a Painting. When he does the movies.
You send me those, and
dude, Todd and I remember
when you sent me that, I like
the Kurosawa one is one of my favorites.
That one definitely carries it.
That kind of reinvigorated my love of the Japanese filmmaking, but like those type of video essays I just love to watch because like they touch on a broad subjects, but like at the same time, it's like you kind of learn something new, right, about that thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's tons like the Kurosawa stuff. Yeah, like I remember there was who else did like a major. Now they're like merged with IGN, which isn't okay, but
they've lost all.
Yeah.
What made them cool?
Well, what killed me was this guy.
when you sell out, man.
Hey man, get your bread, bro.
That money though.
Listen, get your bread. Okay, I ain't stopping no one from getting bread. But this guy used to do Cinefix, and I'm sure you've watched his.
Oh
YouTube
yeah,
videos.
I remember that. Holy shit!
Now, I mean, I think they were always, or they've like 100 years ago got like incorporated into IGN's group, but that guy like, and now they kind of they fall into the trap of like they just do like big top 10s, which I'm not against big top 10s, but
you're getting the views.
You're getting the views.
You're getting the views if you do that.
And listen, I watch them all the time. Like,
yeah.
But what they'll do is he'll every once in a while throw out like he'll dissect a scene. And he does one on like Sicario and the bridge scene and how epic that scene is. But he also goes into
so goddamn good.
Yeah, but he actually goes and explains why it's good. Yeah. Like not just it's really tense. It's like it shows how the writer and the director really kind of every little subtlety why you like, and they do these super deep dives, and also the voiceover is amazing. Like that guy's got a voice, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But
that helps a lot when carrying a 40 to 60-minute video. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, so when you find those types of like, just even if it's and the worst is when you find one and like the channel like fails or like the guy doesn't do much.
Every Frame of a Painting.
Yeah, essentially. Like,
shout out to my man Tony. I hope wherever you are, man, you're doing well. We'd love to see you make more videos, especially nowadays with all these movies coming out.
So that's where like with where I was going. Yeah, so I love those type of just like kind of video essays, like well written, like really good. Like, and don't get me wrong, those aren't easy to make. Those are got to be a nightmare to put together.
Dude,
you have to be right.
Yeah, I saw these. I forget the name. I think his name is Good Blood or something. This is Australian YouTuber, and he did essays on Ocarina of Time and God of War, and I thought they were the production value of it. Like, not only did he go through the essay, but like and take scenes from the games, but he did like his own graphics, right? Like he did.
Geez, it must took him forever.
Yeah, like he did like these like silhouette type, cartoonish type things that integrated into the game with the game scenes, and it was really, I was hooked. I was hooked, and in this day and age when you have so many quick videos, like those 3-minute.
Yeah.
It's nice just to settle down to
They
a
kind
video.
of just bang them out.
Yeah,
It's nothing
like
really.
reading a few chapters of a book or something, right? It's just like kind of just settling down, having one big focus, and learning some cool shit about your favorite TV shows and movies and video games.
I mean, there's like, because like what I really love is when you find like a channel, and you watch a couple of their videos, like, okay, cool. But then you realize that there's a whole YouTube community based on like that one particular subject. Like,
yeah,
I found there was, and I remember I found this like YouTube channel. I'm pulling up right now because it came up on my feed. Sometimes the YouTube algorithm just works perfectly.
Yeah.
And there was a guy who did just kind of deep dives of military, famous military battles, like ancient warfare.
Dude,
Yeah, my kid's screaming.
oh no.
Yeah, he got his shots. He's miserable. He does like deep dives of like, I think I sent you one a long time ago. But how I found it is that he did one on the Game of Thrones battles. Like the ones from the
the battle at Winterfell.
All that
The
stuff.
one that I'll never forget this. When the episode came out, you I think you either Discord messaged me or text me. You were like,
very angry.
very cool, but no, this is not a fucking realistic battle strategy, okay?
Yeah, and well, no, it wasn't that guy who like dissected why that battle was wrong, but this guy like does like a I think it's called History March. Yeah, this guy. It was Battle Blitz. There's so many of these like damn YouTube channels now that I follow. Battle Blitz, what it essentially is they do like a kind of looks like it's a think of it like Google Maps, but then they have like tiles, and he goes into depth of like the military, like the combat maneuvers that were done in those said battles. And I know it sounds really thick, okay, but I found one because he did one. I guess he got sponsored, and he did one on like the Game of Thrones, like the Battle of the Trident, like all those like weird, like they're not real. And then I was like, oh, that's kind of cool that someone actually like mapped out how they really did it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This guy's got the Siege of Jerusalem. He's got the Siege of Paris. I'm like,
there goes your black hole.
Oh, dude, I watched every one of his videos, and he rarely comes out with one. Like, I think the last one he did was like 8 months ago. But then I found out that there were other channels doing that too. And like, then there was one called Battle March, History March, and that goes even into great, because it's not just like they do like, all right, they do the Battle of Thermopylae, right? Everyone knows that story. Like, but then they go into like some of the crazier stuff, like the ones that like only like psycho history nerds like me know, and it's like, because who really wants to know like the battle patterns of like Attila the Hun? Like nobody really wants to know that, but I do. So I found like all these like channels, and then in turn, so that's like always my favorite when you just start finding more channels that like, and then like there was one of what was it? Some chick. It was like a really pretty girl, and she like was talking about a book that I like actually genuinely like. It's called Kafka on the Shore. It's one of my favorite books of all time. And she's talking about from like a modern perspective. I read this like 20 years ago, and I think you would dig it. It's
so this book came out what, like in the 90s?
No, actually probably. Let me find it. It's like a famous book. Like it's not like, this is not some indie thing that I found. Like it's written by I'm going to sound like the worst person.
If you read a book now, you're considered indie.
Yeah, it's written by, and I never get his name. It's like Hiramaki Murakami. Sorry about the pronunciation. He's one of my favorite authors. He's a Japanese author. This book gets translated over here and becomes a mega bestseller. So it's a translated book that comes over here, and he does a lot of them. Now, Kafka on the Shore is like a very popular one that he did. I'll send you the ebook because it's like one of my favorite books of all time. Sam,
I'm surprised this hasn't been adapted to a movie yet.
well, it's kind of hard to do.
That's my next question. Is it even filmable?
Probably.
Hey man,
if it could, it would probably need to be
Studio Ghibli.
Oh God, no. Well, there's like points of
that bad,
like, well, no, because there is parts of like sexual assault in the book.
Ooh, boy.
There's
Definitely not,
like
then.
not, but there's like implied incest. Like,
Okay.
but it's not all about that. It's like that's like 2 scenes in the whole book.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's about 2 characters. It's about a teenage boy who runs away from home,
Okay.
and it deals with someone that's not mentally handicapped. Like, that's not the right way of saying it, but it's someone with
A little slow.
someone on the spectrum.
Yeah.
But he's like just this like gentle, nice, like just kind of goes with the flow guy. And it's about these 2 people, and like this kid runs off to a different town, like to the other side of Japan, like starts like volunteering at a library to kind of hide out. And then if I describe the book, it ruins the book.
No, yeah,
But
don't.
anyway, so essentially, it's like one of my favorite books, and
So this chick made a video about it.
so she starts talking about it,
Okay.
and how she's like, now if you Google this book, like I think it was like Audible's got it at 4.5, Goodreads has it at 4.1 out of 5. Like it's a famous book, and it came
Yeah.
out in 2002, and so she's talking about how, well, people love this book, but some of these scenes make me really uncomfortable, and she gives like an appropriate response to like, yeah, like you're not supposed to feel comfortable about like some of like the sex stuff in this book. But it's supposed to be uncomfortable. But then I was like, okay, cool. And I started watching some of her videos, and I don't really agree with 90% of her reviews.
Yeah.
Like, and she's not like super epic woke, none of that crap, or on the other side of it.
Yeah.
She's actually very like down the middle, and she's like, hey, I don't like this book, but here's the reason why. But then here's this really bad book that I know is really shitty, but I just love it, and
Yeah.
it's just a big fantasy reader, and I'm not the biggest fan of fantasy. Sci-fi is my thing, but
That's interesting.
oh yeah. I mean, I've read a ton of fantasy, but give me a goddamn.
I mean, because you're a DM, you like D&D,
yes.
but you prefer a sci-fi book.
Oh,
over
absolutely. Sci-fi. Give me a decent, but it's got to be like, okay, so it's got to be like certain type of sci-fi. Okay. I'm not a big fan. So when it comes to like sci-fi books, I love like huge space operas.
I can dig that. Like, dude,
Mega casts, like 20 characters, space travel, all that, like just heavy themes, complex themes.
yeah,
But I also like then there's like tiers of like science fiction, right? There's like a lot of it is like Kubrick level science fiction, where it's like there's hidden meetings, and then you get like what I call like the junk food, good books, fun reads. The writer writes a ton of them, and like no one really knows about them. And there's one book series. It's called the Honor Harrington series. It's everything. The book is designed for me. It's literally a rewriting of like the Napoleonic era Age of Sail, but done in like a space empire. Now,
make the script happen.
quote me now. Someone will make this into a
No,
TV.
of course.
Someone will
Sounds
make this
like it
into
will.
a TV show. Because it is.
What was? Speaking of TV show, there was.
mind you, Murakami, the Kafka on the Shore writer.
Yeah.
I believe he wrote Drive My Car.
Really,
I haven't seen it yet, but
the movie that just came
Yeah.
out recently.
yeah.
I heard really good things about it.
So did I. And when I
need
think
to watch
Rotten's
more
got it at
foreign
97%, and Metacritic's got it at 91. What I thought was, I was like, okay, it's a foreign film, I'm gonna absolutely check that out because sorry, it's the only one. They're the only ones making movies right now.
True.
But as soon as I heard he was attached, I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm totally
Yeah.
reading this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this movie. So just so you know. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No. No. What was that? What was that space show? Because you reminded me. It's on the Apple TV now. David Goyer is behind it. What the fuck is that thing
Space
called?
show?
It's a space show. The Fountain. Is it that?
Oh, you mean the Foundation?
Foundation. Oh my
Oh.
God.
Foundation. Okay, so
Isn't that a book? Wasn't it?
that's a famous book series, man. That's written by Oh my god.
You're failing here, Dan.
I am.
failing
Yes,
here.
I am definitely failing.
Amateur hour here.
It's fucking painful.
I don't know. You get pissed too. It's like I'm a fucking history guy.
Because I don't want to pronounce the name wrong. Isaac Amazon. It's the guy who wrote like iRobot.
iRobot. Yeah.
But it's like the iRobot series. It's all those books.
Yeah.
I believe. But like the only reason why I was contemplating the. Oh no! This is the wrong. This is because The Fountain is a different movie. That's an actual movie.
That's a movie with. I'm thinking of the one Rachel Weisz is in it, right?
Yeah. The Foundation series.
Foundation.
That's on Apple TV. That Isaac Asimov wrote that book series. I'm not the biggest fan of Asimov stuff.
Okay.
The only thing I've really liked is his adaptation that they took Blade Runner from him.
Okay.
I read the novella that Blade Runner is based off of. I Dream of Electronic Sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. But I do think Ridley Scott made, he definitely he got blood from a stone on that one.
My man, Ridley Scott, still kicking it. Yeah, you haven't seen Raised by Wolves yet, right?
Mm-mm. It's on my queue. I gotta watch it.
I think I'm the biggest Ridley Scott defender. I mean, I wrote a paper on him for college, for God's sakes.
Oh no, even like his bad stuff, I think is pretty solid.
Yeah, because he's
The Scotts in general. Even Tony Scott did some really great stuff. R.I.P.
Here's the thing that I like in a director: if he's ambitious, he may not always make hits, but he's gonna go for a really ambitious idea, an ambitious narrative, and a visual spectacle. And sometimes the stories hit, not always, but he's gonna go for it. Like I think Nolan has become this. People like to call him the blockbuster director, where he has these big scenes, these big stuff, but he goes for it. Like
they're doing something different. That's That's the one thing that I'm always happy about is that they. Once they try something new, like okay, so Nolan, I got a little beef with the guy. The guy, he can't write a good story. He really can't. He can come up with these amazing. Now, don't get me wrong; these ideas that he comes up with are amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's even his most recent. It's when you have Tenet.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're giving me a spy espionage heist time travel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in that shit. Yeah, absolutely. Acting's amazing.
Yeah.
I've watched it 3 times, and the subtleties you catch every single time blow my mind.
Yes.
Stuff you miss the first and second time, and I remember watching it the first time, and I was like, not sure how I felt about it, which is usually a good sign, because if I'm thinking about the movie afterwards, like the next day. It did something. Even if it's crap, it did something. Then I watched it again with Sam, and she hated it. and her reasonings were legit. Like I totally understood what she was saying.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with her, and I was actually slightly a little angry. I was like, really? Did you not watch what I just watched? Then I watched it a third time by myself again, and I was like, just making sure, like, was I just like hyping it because it's Nolan, man,
Yeah.
You guy who can save Batman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is actually a really clever movie. However, and this is why I think it lost Sam and it lost a lot of people and me in some certain aspects. I know the character is called protagonist, but he doesn't know how to write a protagonist and reasons why they do things.
That's fair.
Like, and not just in...
That's fair.
Essentially, or like he writes like these like scenarios that's usually the hardest part, right? You're a writer. So the hardest part is giving a legitimate reason why someone would do something, right?
Yeah.
So Batman, the reason why I think Dark Knight blew up so well is because he didn't have to write the reasonings for it. I also think it was a perfect time and place. Our ideologies, where the country was at with like terrorism and fear and like crime and our views of police and all that. I think was a perfect storm. I don't think that movie would be good now. But I do find that was like some of his top tier work. Mine is like Memento, because he didn't have to write the story.
Yeah.
Like he had it. Now, he already had like Batman's reasons. He already has the Joker's reasons and all, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So with Tenet, the same deal. Like, and Tenet is like the worst case of that.
He wrote Tenet, right?
Yeah, I believe his brother did. It's him and his brother usually write everything. But I found with that and even if you
he
think
wrote it. So here's my theory. I think when his brother writes stuff, it's a little cleaner because he doesn't have his hands on the story.
Well, because
so I guess the question is, if Nolan is willing to let someone else write. Like, I don't think he wrote. Did he write The Prestige? I think his brother wrote The Prestige.
I think his brother wrote for The Prestige too.
I think we found the key to.
Well, here, think about it for a sec. Like, if you watch, so you have that, and then if you take a step back, like with Interstellar, first off, the ending of Interstellar is kind of rough. Even for Nolan, is rough.
It deviated. Like, it's funny because I remember Todd sent me the script for Interstellar before it came movie. Mm-hmm. And then the script definitely deviated, and it had to because a lot of the ideas in the script initially were just going to be really hard.
It's a messy science.
Yes.
Because it's like the idea of a tesseract is like a real theory.
Yeah.
It's
and
a real theory.
Honestly, NASA scientists and, space.
They've broken down that stuff. Yeah. And they're like, he's not. Yeah, he's off by not by
not by a lot. Like they said, it was as faithful as it could be. Like considering.
Correct. Like the like explaining time delimitation. Like that was brilliant. Like it's like now like. So when Matthew McConaughey is watching his kids grow up through the videos. Mm-hmm. That, like, I remember my brother going, dude, that scene fucked me up.
I know.
And now, I haven't watched it since, but the idea of watching that now.
Imagine, like, seeing a video of Bruce.
Exactly.
In, like, he's a 20-year-old, like.
Completely growing up. And, like.
That's, like, soul-crushing. And
exactly.
That's why he cried.
That's why it is. And that's, like, part. But
I cried.
But that's the point. Is, like, but also, like, his reasoning for going is, yes, he's got to save the world.
Yeah.
But you could tell he didn't want to go. And they were going to go without him. So it wasn't like, so the basic like premise would be
and
like.
And he stumbled upon the base, right?
Yeah, it's a little like, they were going anyway, so you don't have to go. Yes, you should go.
Michael Caine's that old guy's like, I can't do it. You have to do it for me, blah, blah, blah type thing.
Yeah. So I find, but it's like, with Nolan stuff, like if he's writing these stories, he comes up with these epic premises, but like, or like Inception, like why don't just fly the fucking kids to you? Like, why do you have to go on these epic quests to go back to America? Like, you're living in the fucking most beautiful places of Europe. Bring your kids to Europe. Like, it's like no one's gonna find you. Also, my one other gripe is with, now for the record, I'm stoked he's doing Oppenheimer. Like that, my history mind is popping with that one. That is so cool.
Yeah. The visuals are probably going to be amazing.
Good. I mean, you know who Oppenheimer was, right?
Yes,
okay.
Of course. Yeah.
But like with Dunkirk, which I was super pumped for, and I think that is super clever how that movie was made. My one gripe with it is that
Harry Styles. We get it, Dan.
Actually, not even that. I'm willing to accept him. You're going to tell me there wasn't enough people on the beach. That was not 300,000 soldiers.
Yeah.
300,000 is the fucking Super Bowl. And you're going to tell me that that was, no, you would not be able, that's what kind of irked me a little bit. It was like,
the beach, It
was like,
I get that.
And I know why, because he doesn't use CG. Or very little of it.
Which I appreciate.
I do too. But there are times where it's like, maybe you shouldn't have fucking CGI'd that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like,
at the same
imagine
time.
Helm's Deep from 2 towers without CGI and it's a couple like just weird camera tricks. That battle does not look cool.
Does not look good. Yeah.
It's like, you
have to find the balance of like, and
don't go full George Lucas, but like, bring it in a little bit. It's like, yeah, so that's kind of my view.
I mean, ambitious directors, I'm down for,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, I even if the story and doesn't make that coherent, I appreciate the overall, the cojones to actually make it happen, right?
Yes.
Because like you said, I mean, we're living in an age now where everything is a superhero movie and everything is just a remake, basically, of something that happened in the 80s and 90s, and we're bringing it to a new audience the same stories that you and I grew up with, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think it's like I've heard this from a few actors on like interviews and stuff. I think Matt Damon like specifically put it the best. Is since nobody buys the movie anymore after the fact, after the release,
Yeah.
since there's no home video sales, or they are, but they are nothing compared to what they used to be. Because of that, the risk is now greater. Because there were a ton of movies that used to be made because, like, you know what, we're gonna make it on the back end with VHS sales because everyone just buys VHS because you also had Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, Planet Video. You had all these.
I
like,
hadn't even thought about that.
yeah,
You're totally
because
right.
you knew automatically there was a whole system that was gonna buy them.
Yes.
And also too, I mean, how many movies, like, I mean, I don't have a DVD collection anymore, but like the amount of times I just bought a DVD just to have it on my shelf, it was like, oh, that was a pretty good movie. Oh, it's like $15. Sure, I'll throw it in there.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, yeah, you got iTunes, you know, people buy through Google, you know, YouTube or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But most people, after, I've noticed this too, there's very few people, like, after it's been out in the theater, and this is before COVID, like, even now, after it's been out of the theater, most people are not, like, pumped when, like, the VHS of a movie comes out.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being active, you know, granted we were kids, but I remember when, like, Phantom Menace got on VHS that day.
Yeah. It was a big event.
That was a big, to get it to see it again.
Yeah.
I remember being so excited. My mom came home from work and she bought a copy. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We're watching this now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, you and I are an exception to this, but like, when was the last time you heard someone say, yo, man, I got the newest copy of whatever. I just got the new copy. You want to come over and watch it?
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore.
That's
like,
true.
I haven't gotten that. Maybe we're older, but I don't even hear, you know, and it's like, granted too, it's like, you also get people who have viewing parties like, yo, man, the new thing just dropped on Netflix. You want to check it out?
Yeah.
But not with movies. And I think that's a big reason why it's all sequels and remakes, because if I got to throw 150 million to 200 million at a project, I want my fucking money back. I'm not going to make, you know, these weird little indies, like, you know, it's because if you look, that's why I think like a lot of John Grisham movies got made in the 90s, because those weren't big hits, but on VHS, everyone's seen Rainmaker, like, it's, you
The
know,
Firm and all that stuff.
all those movies, you know. I also think, like, actually, no, a prime example of this is The Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank Redemption tanked at the theaters.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a fuck about that movie.
Yeah.
But then I think it was Turner who like was like, no, this movie's like amazing. I bought the rights to it, and that's why it's always on TNT.
Yeah.
But
TV movie.
And I think because the home sales of that movie blew up.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time I saw The Shawshank Redemption, I was at home, and you know, like, I was super poor, but we always got movies from the library, and I remember they came home and we would watch a movie. Me, my mom, and her boyfriend at the time, we would go and we sit on the couch and watch a movie, and they let me watch rated R movies when I was a kid, so I was like, whatever. But I think it was because I was like not weird about it. You know, I wasn't screaming or like you know, when there was death I wasn't crying. If it was scary, I wasn't freaking out. Sex scenes, I wasn't making weird noises or like, you know, laughing or getting really uncomfortable. Like, I just sat there and quiet because I was like, I'm into this fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know, I remember watching Shawshank and just like, you know, the first time they ripped the poster off, you know, and you're like, holy shit, this is, and I think
such a cool movie.
Now nobody would have cared about that. Like, that movie doesn't get made today.
Sadly, yes.
You know,
unless
it would have to be based on a true story.
It'd have to have big actors too.
Big actors, and
like probably make it for the Oscar season, because that's the only.
I'm a firm believer if it's not a true story or close to it, it's not winning Oscars. It's not getting shit for Oscars.
You think so? You think an original
rarely does.
Original idea of a movie.
I think it's got a shot, but I think if I'm a betting man and I got to bet on who's gonna win the Best Picture, I bet your ass I'm putting it on the biopic.
I'm trying to think of the last movie that was an original idea and then won Best Picture? Let me think.
I'll let you think while I'm pulling up this list here. Best Picture, not just whatever. Like not original screenplay because that's cheating.
Shape of Water, was that based on anything?
Shape of Water was not based on anything, actually. Shape of Water.
Was that original?
Let's see. That was a Del Toro.
I know a lot of people hated it.
Was that Del Toro? Yeah, that was Del Toro. Who he's infamous for original. The Shape of Water, written by Del Toro. Yeah, it's written by Del Toro, so it's not based on anything. But let me find Oscar winners. List of best.
What won last year? It's a blur to me. What
Honestly,
won in the
Coda.
Will Smith Oscars?
Coda won.
Coda.
The problem was this year's Oscars I really gave no attention to because I was so behind, and also there was like nothing really, like honestly too, and this is before the big slap, I really have lost my energy for Will Smith movies. Like, and it's not because they're bad. Usually even his bad ones are still, are good. It's just I'm getting kind of done with biopics.
I know, dude. I couldn't agree with you more. They're just such a cop-out.
Maybe it's because we're getting old enough that we were now seeing the biopics of people that were around during like our lifetimes. Like,
well, yeah, Richard Williams. I remember when he was a big thing in the tennis world. I was like, that happened when I was, when I'm alive and was like in my 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Like that was recent,
But
we're making biopics of people that are either still alive or
which is weird.
Events that happened like literally 20 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Like,
Barack Obama biopic coming soon.
Dude, I'm fucking waiting for that shit. So this year was like Coda, right? But what was up for? Like Belfast, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard.
People made fun of me when I told them, listen, man, Dune's gonna sweep. My friend, she and I.
Dune I'm actually surprised. No, it is.
Dune won a lot of awards actually.
Dune Part 2 is gonna win Best Picture.
Oh, that's because when the shit goes down, right?
Well, not so much the story, but usually with movies where they know there's a trilogy, they're usually not going to give it to the first one. They'll give it to the last one. I mean, they did it with Return of the King. It is not the best Lord of the Rings.
But it's like
But it's the one that like
an honor system.
It's essentially like, all right,
we appreciate your
Jackson. You're getting the fucking Oscar.
Yeah.
You should have gotten it for Fellowship, but we're going to give it to you for the Return of the King.
Denise,
but that was but not to cut you off. But that was the year Master and Commander came out. And I'm sorry, Master and Commander was
a better movie.
Better than The Return of the King?
Return of the King,
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Return of the King, man. Like, I appreciate that movie, and I watched it in theaters, too. I know you watched it in theaters, too.
Midnight, baby.
The almost 3-hour movie.
Yes, very much so.
When it just didn't seem to want to end.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Which is now a meme. I love it. I kind of love, and I don't know what's your opinion on this, but like I love how old movies are getting memed now. It's actually so stupid, but it actually makes me laugh sometimes. Like randomly, American Psycho with Christian Bale, right?
Oh, it's amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah,
the book is awesome.
It's being memed now a lot, especially now that Love and Thunder's out and he's in it.
Yeah.
And there's a famous scene in American Psycho when he's talking to his lawyer. It's like, why isn't it possible? And it's like, it's just not possible. Why isn't it fucking possible? And they're memeing that shit out of that one scene with like,
you stupid bastard.
You stupid
it is
bastard.
So good.
I love that shit. And it's like it's just so funny to rethink of like the movies we watch and now people are using it as memes.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the world that has come to. Everything is a meme now, right? It's like,
well, I mean, that's like the modern comedy. You know, that's like that's the new folk art. You know, it's like that's where that's what people do now. But like also like the year before that in 2022, like Nomad Land 1.
Oh God!
All right.
You go first, and then I will give my spiel about
all right, because here's my thing.
I feel like we're gonna have the same idea.
I think so too. It kind of annoyed me. I saw it. I think the acting was fine. I think it was kind of boring.
Same.
However, no, it's not even however. It's actually a continuation. Movie actually kind of bothered me because when I say I grew up poor, I grew up like no heat poor.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand where the woman was coming from, where the character was coming from. But what bothered me was it's a group. I understand, like, I know what they were trying to say about, like, the modern nomad, about living free, doing your own thing, all that, blah, 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 blah. Like, how she's, like, trying to cope with, like, losing absolutely everything by rebuilding something from nothing. I get it. What bothered me was there's that scene where her bus breaks down and she goes to her sister to borrow the money to fix her car. That always annoyed me because I grew up in a situation where, so my mother had a genius IQ. The woman was brilliant, like crazy. Like her math skills were brilliant, so smart. One of the smartest people I ever knew. Could not handle money, was afraid of money, and did not want to work. So
interesting.
It drove me nuts
like that,
watching where people were okay. And I'm not mad at my mother about this, but I was very much annoyed at that character because it's very much that where it's, I'm living my life, but I'm not planning for anything. So, because someone else is going to clean up my mess. Like, it's true, yeah. Your sister's there to help you pay for the van. Of course she's going to do that. And that's what a good family would do.
Yeah.
But you're actively trying not to have a safety net or any type of handle your shit.
Handle your shit, yeah.
And maybe I'm a little cold for that, but it's like, that's how I look at it. Yeah. Like, it's like, yes, that's there if you need the help. And she did need the help in that scene. But what bothered me was, like, you could have, why aren't you even at least trying to make some sort of, like, to handle it?
I know.
It's
interesting because it's an authentic situation.
Absolutely.
Like, that does occur, but at the same time,
I mean, shit, I've borrowed money from my brother. I'm sure you've borrowed money from mom and dad.
It's an authentic situation, but I can understand your frustration.
Where it's like, that's a character who could actively try. Like, listen, man, we've all been in shitty situations, but it's like, she's actively trying to stay in that. That is what bothers me. It's this is, it's, poor people are not poor because they want to fucking be. Nobody wants to be poor. It sucks. And it's like, kind of also glorifies like that, like, because no offense, man, shitting in a bucket sucks. Okay. So, like, it's not a fun thing.
Yeah.
Like,
so let me ask you this. The movie Roma, right? With
I love that
Alfonso Cuarón.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you said to me, like, that first scene too, especially when she's like cleaning. It's like, you seem to resonate with that movie more in terms of, like, just and I actually love that you appreciated that, because my whole I watched it with my family, my mom and my dad, and that resonated with them too. Of, like, because in Ecuador you have those maids, you have those houses that are basically, let's be honest, they're family.
They're family, yeah.
They're family, and she, the actress in the movie, and by the way, she was phenomenal in that. It's a very subtle performance. It's not over the top. Like, for
the record, Green Book beat Roma out, for the record. Which, anyway, not to kill your vibe, but
that totally just fucking.
But I know.
Well, let's go back to celebrating Roma.
Yeah. Well, I know what you mean with Roma. Like, the first scene where she's cleaning up the dog shit.
Especially because you told me you're a janitor, and that just hit you in the heartstrings.
It killed it because I knew. And this is where I can't speak for the director and the writer, but that motherfucker cleaned up messes before, because I felt that she's cleaning up now. People were like, really? They show the first scene is her shit on the floor. And it's like, no, you don't understand. She's cleaning it, and she does her job. She does it well. It is fucking spotless. And then 3 hours later, there's shit on there again.
Right back there.
And I remember just, like, knowing what that felt like, being a janitor for fucking so long. And I remember just, like, fuck. And, like, I remember, like, the big cars and, like, but also too, and this isn't like white savior shit, at least I don't think it is. Growing up where I grew up, it was all Latino. All.
Yeah.
I was the only white kid in the block. Yeah. And I used to get, like, being the only white kid on the block, I never got shit for it.
Like, they embraced you, Daniel.
I wasn't the rich white kid on the block. I was fucking poorer than them.
You're among one of them. Yeah.
Where it's like, I would go to their friends' houses. I go to my friend's house. That's
why you fucking love Spanish rice. Admit it.
Well, dude, that's where I'm going with this. Was my favorite was I would go, and all the kids' parents used to love, like, not to pull this, but they used to love that they had a white friend. They used to fucking love it. But they also liked that that my friends liked because the parents liked that they had someone they could talk. They would use their kids as like essentially a translator for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they would, because they didn't speak English, but like their kids did.
Yeah.
Because they were born here. And like it was just like fun to like they would say something and then I would look at like my friend, he'd be like, oh yeah, it's because of this, or you know, it was just like funny.
Yeah,
but it was
it's
like
all love, man.
And it was like, of course, what do? You go to these people's houses, they're fucking feeding you. So and I love that food. You know, it was like, but so it's like I understood like the big cars and like how like super close like the kids are to their mother and like and just how you know how like there's like a certain animosity because a lot of my friends like they're you know. And so it was essentially like my white group, right? My friends, like my like, in the other, I was the only kid with divorced parents, but on the other block, I was just like the rest of them.
Yeah,
like Now, granted, most of them were married, but a lot of the fathers were either out of state, or they hadn't come over yet.
Wow.
Or they fucked off.
Yeah,
you know, and it was like interesting to see that dynamic.
Yeah, because you were like essentially two worlds, basically.
Yeah.
With the friend groups, which is fascinating to me. It's funny because when I moved from Queens to Long Island,
that is a fucking wake up call.
I had an adjustment, right? Because in Queens, I had Italian friends, I had Polish, Russian, Spanish. It was so diverse. Mm-hmm. And I went to middle school, and that was somewhat diverse. Like one of my very good friends, she's African American, and we've been close ever since. But when I got to high school, that's when it really hit me that I was in the fucking suburbs.
Oh, you're in the burbs, bro.
Yeah, I'm in the burbs.
On Saturdays and a bunch of white people.
These kids got boats and they're driving mommy and daddy's cars as seniors in high school, and they it was a wake up call. But I think I had enough groundness from my experience in Queens that, you know, I always say, remember where you fucking came from, right?
Yeah.
No matter if your situation changes, like you get into money and then you get your own house and stuff like that, you remember where you came from and you remember your values, because the values of the people on Long Island I really didn't connect with, right? You know, and they also didn't understand where I came from in certain viewpoints. So that was a wake up call for me, especially just to like see the difference of like interacting with friends. And obviously I came here into my teenage years, and that's like one of your biggest.
You know, Sam, she changed schools like when she was in high school, and she said it was brutal. Yeah, like
tough,
because you're not making new friends at that point. Yeah, you're making friends, but you're making friends. That 10 years of bond.
Yeah,
that like
honestly, the closest friends I have in Long Island are Ro and Tom, and I met those in middle school.
Yeah,
like I rarely talk to the people I went to high school with.
Honestly, now that when I really think about the high school crew, now granted, a lot of like my high school they scattered. It's like some of them will.
And honestly, that makes sense. And then you could be cordial and friendly, like on Facebook or like
my
whatever.
Crew, like the guy that married me and Sam, like he was part of my original crew in high school, and like, and like we, every once in a while, like I'll text him on his birthday, and I texted him when Bruce was born, and like, but like that's really it. Like if he's ever in town. Because he got married and had kids. He's a lawyer up in Massachusetts in Boston. He went to school there. He loved it and he stayed.
Yeah.
And then he met a girl and she stayed there, so they stayed there. And and every time he comes down, he hits me up. Like it's like. And then I have my other buddy from high school. He went upstate New York. He's a cop, but it's like he never comes down here, and he's super busy. It's like there's no problems. Like there was never. We're done.
It's just like you said. Like when you're not in the immediate area, it's hard.
Also, I left my hometown for almost 10 years.
Right.
I didn't realize how long it was until we came back. It was so weird. And then I was like, oh, I was gone for a long ass time. That plays.
Why does it feel like 10 years the older you get? Is like a blur, right? Like,
well, I think it's because you probably perceive things faster, like, or maybe not. Like, we're busier. So when you're a kid,
busier, yeah,
like,
true.
Like when you're like, so, okay, so like the week before Christmas when you're a kid is the longest fucking week of your life.
Yeah.
The week before Christmas when you're an adult, it just disappears because I think just you have so much to do.
Yeah.
Just going to school for
certain
6 hours
certain
every day.
events and certain like when you eliminate school and that regimented schedule, you now have a work schedule in its place, and it's very different because it's year round instead of hopefully it's year round, as opposed to the 2 months out of the year they have off. It's funny. Like 10 years, like I remember what I did when I was 24. I was great. It was great.
Yeah, it was a great time.
But
shit, I think at 24 I was engaged. All right, so it's like,
that's when I met you.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, we've known each other now for more than 10 years.
I met you when we got engaged.
Because I started Sharp. I remember this so clearly. It's so fucking funny. I graduated in 2010. Yes. I took an internship at Sharp that summer. And then
2010, that's when Sam started.
And then I got a PA job around the fall of 2010 leading into. And then I met you the next year, or maybe it was that year. Or
well, let's see. When did we get engaged?
When did you get engaged? You probably got engaged the next year, right? In 2010.
Yeah, I think it was after that. We were dating in 2010. We were not living.
First day I met you. Oh yeah,
the first day I met you. Was when we
went to a comedy club. You remember?
Yeah, I do remember. Dangerfields. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
I think it was. We got married in 2013. I think it was the end of 2011 or early 2012.
Okay.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
It was like 2012.
Yeah, because I wasn't really good friends with Sam, I want to say, until 2011.
Yeah.
Because that's when she as an intern, she would always pick on me to help her out with Birth to Conqueror. But then we started going out like as the Sharp crew.
Yeah, the crew.
Yeah, the crew with Todd, Juliet, Eli, Monica, Alvin, Sam and I. We used to go out like almost every other Friday, and yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. But
time fucking flies, man.
It flies, man, and it's like I remember. Watching. Roma really hit home because I remember specifically, like, also like how like the mother had to struggle, like because there was a lot of crazy stuff in that movie, like they're talking about the birth of the cartels in there. They're kind of like hinting towards
a lot of stuff in Mexico events that like.
I also liked that it shows a different side of Mexico, because when everyone thinks of Mexico now, they're essentially thinking of Juarez. They're looking at like,
unfortunately, yes,
what the cartels just butchering their own people.
Yes.
But this shows like structured civilization. It's like there was there's still parts like Latin America. It's still full of those type of places. You know? But yeah, like Roma, the woman, like her cleaning up in like the big ass cars, because I mean, you Latinos love you big fucking cars.
It's making a statement. It's so fucking. It goes back to the idea of a machismo, and it's so funny. Like we have guests from Ecuador, and it's one of my dad's best friend. Basically, he grew up with him, and my mom loves to call him out on his bullshit, and he doesn't speak English, so every time my mom tells him you're full of fucking bullshit, he's like, what's bullshit? What is, like, he doesn't understand that.
I love that part.
But he's very much a machismo Ecuadorian. Like, he calls like, this is my woman when he refers to his wife, and he wants to say this, say
big
that.
Big dick energy,
and big dick energy. And what's funny is my mom, who grew up in New York, she grew up more in New York than she did in Ecuador, does not take that shit. And what I give credit.
Something tells me if she grew up in Ecuador, she still wouldn't take that shit.
It's
like,
her.
Love to see you.
But like he, and I love him too. He's Xavier's godfather.
Right?
Yeah. So and I love him, and he's family. He's basically family. He's my dad's best friend. However, he's that typical, Ecuadorian who is I'm blanking on, like, doesn't like homosexuals, very religious in the beliefs that it should be a man and a woman, anti-trans.
Pretty much, you just throw him back in the 1950s, and he's all good.
Pretty much, because and it's tough because when you're not when you stay in Ecuador, you're only exposed to the Ecuadorian way of life. Had he had grown up in the States or something, he would have been exposed, and then may or may not have changed, but he would have been exposed. I mean, to different
you can't
values.
really blame. I truly can't blame someone for having these type of views at that age that he is. If
Right.
He's never really been around the other side. 'Cause He's only hearing one view of it.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like a thing with like right now with like a lot of people with like the Midwest.
Yeah.
But you gotta understand something about the mid-fucking West. There's nothing out there but corn and white people. It's like, yeah.
Of course they're not gonna like black people. They don't even know them.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like you don't know until you know, until you meet them, and it's now granted we live in the age of modern information, so that excuse kind of only gets you so far.
Yeah.
But I kind of I'm not saying it's right, but I can see why there's some bright people are like that.
And it's and it doesn't bother. It's we shake. That's how he is, and we've known him to be like that for forever. It's just my mom and surprisingly my dad too. They've been exposed and they're much more open minded to stuff. And I remember one night he was going on one of his famous rants about how it is the right to for a man and woman to have the child as opposed to adopting or and all that other stuff.
Boy,
and it got to a point where my mom literally got up, shut off the lights to the kitchen, shut off the lights to the floor.
I love that about her so much.
She says, no, fuck this conversation's over.
My favorite thing about her, and this is one of the sweetest women, but what I love is that when she has made the decision, she don't give a fuck. It's over.
Final.
Like I remember a couple years back, we were all gonna go on your boat to go to the beach, and the boat wasn't starting, and your mom immediately was like, "Nope, we're not taking the boat," and got up and just stood in the corner.
And then we ended up driving and taking 2 cars.
Which was fine, but I remember her just like, and there's your dad, like, "No, we can still get this to work," and I'm like, dude, even if you get this started, she is not getting on this boat. But I just remember she immediately was like,
yeah,
I'm off this boat. I'm not even, like, it wasn't even like, hey, no, let's try something. Like, all right, let's just get in the car. She was like, nope, it's all right.
No one was going to convince her otherwise. She was going in a car.
That was one of my favorite things about her. I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Because because too, and it was probably because there was like other people there, but like any other, if that was a white woman, that would have been a fucking fight. Okay, that would have just been a full husband and wife fight in front of people.
Yeah,
argument, and like I'm assuming it's because we were there that it probably, if we weren't there, it probably would have been. But they were outsiders. Yeah. So she's like, all right, I'm not starting some shit. We're just ending this today. This is over.
So funny, and it's funny because my dad also knows like, oh fuck, I better like he's gonna try and make that situation go to his advantage. Yeah. But he'll know just be like, well, I'm gonna fight a losing battle.
Well, that's also marriage for 20.
That's marriage 101,
for
right?
Like 35 years. Yeah. Like it's like,
He also knows not to mess with my mom. He's afraid of her.
I mean, dude, I'm a fucking afraid about your mother. Are you kidding me? But so that's
it was it's just funny now that he's here, just to see that
see
certain
the other side of it,
see certain sides, and I often wonder if my dad probably would have fallen into the same type of bravado attitude,
probably
that he was if he hadn't come to New York and trying to make a career out of himself.
No, that's absolutely a definite that. Yeah, because it's why like every generation is a little bit more open minded about because they were just more informed,
right?
And
exposed too.
Yeah, it's
like my dad. York, my dad had my dad had gay friends meeting in Elmhurst Hospital, and he was exposed to that. And my dad is friends with everyone. You know him, so it doesn't matter if you're straight, gay, black, Asian, or whatever, he's gonna be your friend because he feels good vibes from you, and that's how it should be, even if you are not exposed to it. But it's hard for some people. Like I get it, it's hard, but whatever,
Yeah,
Rome was a great movie.
Well, let me take back my initial statement of that. Because I'm wrong. So it's like, let's go back to the past 5, right?
The
so
past 5 best
2021 was Coda. The year before that was Nomadland, and now this was 2019 was Parasite. Then it was Green Book. That
was based on something.
Which is now based on, and then you had Shape of Water after that, and then you had Moonlight, then Spotlight, then Birdman, then 12 Years a Slave. Now, but this is where I got my 12 Years a Slave, Argo, The Artist, The King's Speech, Hurt Locker, Slumdog Millionaire, No Country for Old Men.
Yeah,
you're starting to
those
see
are
a vibe
all
like
books and real stories.
You're starting to see the
yeah.
But also rewatch Spotlight.
Not as good.
I like it's a story that needed to be told, but yeah.
That's why I was never an altar boy.
I think it was trying too hard to be too much like The President's Men.
I could see that, yeah.
Which I really like that movie. I showed Sam. She was like, "This movie's a little drawn out." I'm like, "Yeah, it was made in the fucking '60s. Like, what do you expect?"
But she didn't like.
But
young
like Spotlight,
Dustin Hoffman.
But Spotlight was like they had an epic year. It was 2015. Spotlight. It was Spotlight, The Big Short, which I've watched multiple times since. Amazing movie. Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max: Fury Road, The Martian, which I've read the book and watched that movie a dozen times. Love it. Ridley Scott movie. The Revenant, and The Room.
Wow, that's a good fucking year.
That was a year. Like
that's a good fucking year for movies. Holy shit.
That was 2015. I remember you showing me Big Short at my house, and I remember like this movie's fucking amazing.
Yeah, because it took a concept that would bore the normal average viewer. And Adam McKay, who directed that, I believe.
Yeah, he did. And
visualized it and hyped it up in a way that made sense. Like you could follow along as an average
I
person.
like that he was able to explain what a CDO was to average people who don't know what a CDO is.
Exactly.
What I did like, this was essentially the last movie I saw in the theater before the lockdown was Vice.
Oh.
Made by him too, about Dick Cheney. And that was
I love when the movie pretends that it finished like midway through.
I was like, that is so good.
What a fucking great
That was so good.
Nothing else happened.
and I remember that was the last movie I saw before the lockdown kicked. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that wasn't it. 1917 was the last movie we saw in the theater before lockdown, and then lockdown happened.
Yeah.
But also too, if you look at like 2019's is like a fucking crazy year too. Parasite wins. You have Ford versus Ferrari. Then you had The Irishman, which was not great. I'm sorry.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep in it. I really did. I can't believe I'm saying this because Martin Scorsese was one of my heroes growing up in the world of filmmaking, but I fell asleep in that.
Well, we're going to get back to The Irishman. Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was 1 year. That's a
crazy. Fucking great year.
Now, The Irishman. This bothers me a lot. Martin Scorsese has made certain movies that are just now officially an American Americana. Like The Goodfellas, Casino's a pseudo sequel. I really liked
Taxi Driver, Mean Streets.
Shit.
Hugo.
No, it's
What are you?
With all the cops.
With all the cops.
The Departed.
The Departed.
Now, sorry, Martin. Make a different type of fucking movie.
Ooh, you challenge it. He made Hugo.
That's my thing. Is like The Irishman is like everyone got pumped about it, and what bothered me with it was like no, because he is so detached. He's bringing people out from retirement who need to be in retirement.
Poor Joe Pesci.
And then they de-age them, which is like kind of rough, man. Like it's so uncomfortable to watch.
Can I ask you why? What is Hollywood and everyone's obsession now with the de-aging people instead of hiring actors, younger actors that kind of look like
I think
the old school way?
I think Hollywood producers are detached from
what they think people want. Like they think we want the old actors.
You can't tell me that in Star Wars, Sebastian Stan, who looks exactly like a young Mark Hamill, you can't hire that motherfucker to play a young Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I think that stuff takes away from the movies, and it's not great.
Granted, there are improvements because in the Boba Fett / Mandalorian, let's be real, Boba Fett was basically filler.
It's a filler. It's a companion piece to the Mandalorian.
For, Mandalorian. They made improvements to the Luke Skywalker deep fake.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, can we move on? And can we... I don't know. The whole, like, de-aging process. And two, maybe it's Hayden Christensen's... oh, wait.
Careful. We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. You motherfuckers, you need to start watching shit.
That is for another time. But with the Irishman and shit, like, what bothers me is that it's
that one trick pony type situation.
Essentially, and it's like he's not though. Martin Scorsese can make gold.
I know.
He needs to stop making. He's already told this story 1,000 times, and like he's done it better. Like there's nothing in the Irishman that you could not get out of the Goodfellas or Casino.
Yeah.
You know, those are those are Hall of Famers. Like those are gonna there's nothing wrong with those movies, but The Irishman is just like, dude, like, do we really?
Fell asleep in it.
I'm sorry. Do we need another Robert De Niro movie? Like, do we really need one? Joe Pesci, dude, you are a god, and stay that way. Like, it's
funny how.
Don't get me wrong, though, bro. I'm not wrong. I mean, yeah, listen, they paid you. Go fucking do it. You got a check, bro. But Martin, come on, buddy. Like, you could do better.
Yeah, it's
just look at that. Like, you have Waititi, where every movie he does is different.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Like, even like Nolan, at least his ideas are different every time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a trilogy. But if you notice, like, all the Batmans are different themes, every single one of them. You know, it's like, give me it's like, I'm the biggest fanboy for Kubrick, but at least Kubrick, he tackled at the time almost every genre.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, every one of those
horror,
genre
sci-fi.
movies, he did a period piece. Yeah. He did horror. He did sci-fi. He did a comedy.
Drama.
He did a war movie. Like that, he did a coming an Age of Innocence story with Lolita. Like and every one of those, every one by themselves.
I forgot he did Lolita.
He did Lolita. But if you think but every one of those is in the lexicon. Like, it is one of the best of it. Like, I'm sorry, one of the best horror movies is The Shining.
Yes.
Okay. One of the best science fiction movies, which to this day is still quoted, and directors still use it, is 2001. Okay. Now, Barry Lyndon is a boring ass fucking movie, and that's coming from the history nerd. But he used techniques, and like when you see those dark rooms with the candlelights and how that's what it looked like that is awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, his attention to detail is
it's
incredible.
Borderline insanity.
Which most people thought he was. But that's what made great fucking art, you know.
Yeah, so that's
which nowadays people go for that.
No, they don't.
You know,
but that's what I'm getting at with like Martin Scorsese. It's like, okay, cool. You're still doing mob movies. Okay, you got to one up it, like, or do something new. Like, you don't even have to make a blockbuster. You have to just do something new with it.
Yeah, try and make a modern one, and maybe tackle how it works nowadays, or hire new actors, fresh blood. I appreciate he wanted to make Leo essentially his modern day De Niro. You know, because when Scorsese started out,
essentially he is. He
is. And that's, I appreciate that kind of lineage of when he started out in the 70s, De Niro was his go-to guy, and then when he kind of went back in the 2000s, it was Leonardo DiCaprio, and I'm for the most part, I like most of his movies he made with Leo. I do, yeah, it's essentially a tried and old movie that to me would only appeal to the 56-year-olds of like the old mobster movies, and even then, I question whether they would like The Irishman.
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean?
A lot of people who like Sam's family, they're big Al Pacino, Robert De Niro fans. I mean,
Of course.
Italian from the city,
Of
right? The
course.
neighborhood, right?
Of course.
They love those movies, right?
Forget
They watch
about it.
these things, and even they were like, "It's okay." It's like
It wasn't the Goodfellas, right? Where like they could quote every line, they could,
And I honestly don't think you're gonna get another Goodfellas. Like you're not gonna get. There's certain movies you're just never gonna get again, man. Like that was a time and a place.
I don't know. Hollywood is like nothing is untouchable nowadays. They're gonna touch some sacred.
Oh no,
movie.
they'll do remakes and like it's
or prequels or something like that. It's the well is dry, and you just go to old and tried and true products.
And I think I've said this 1,000 times, and I'm going to say it again. What kills me the most is that there's probably, and no, there definitely is, the next Citizen Kane of fucking scripts on some producer's desk.
All on the blacklist.
That will never get read.
Never get read, never get touched, never get considered.
Mm-hmm.
Even if like a high-end actor goes to someone like, make this for me, they'd be like, sure, but can you do the studio thing for us, and then we'll make it, and then it gets delayed. One of the great things about Entourage, it actually gave a decent look into the film industry. Like, how Vinny Chase, really wanted to do a passion project, but he couldn't do it unless he did fucking Aquaman,
and then he did it, and it blew up, and they're like, yeah, well, you're still not doing it.
Exactly. It's like, and that's how it is. Like, it's so hard to make original stuff made these days. You kind of have to front the money yourself nowadays, You're going to have to, like, get your own production company to do it.
But here's the thing, though. You always hear, like, you have success bias. So, like, you hear stories about, like, Mel Gibson. He couldn't get financing for The Passion of the Christ. So he pays for it himself.
Right.
And makes stupid money from it.
Yeah.
You hear stories about how, like, George Lucas, they had such little faith in the Star Wars franchise that they gave George Lucas all the merchandising rights instead of a bigger paycheck.
Money.
George Lucas had the rights to the merchandise. That is also why my brothers had every Star Wars figure. Because they just like, all right, we got to make the fucking money back on this shit. George Lucas needs to get paid. You hear about how, Coppola financed Apocalypse Now himself.
Yeah.
And it nearly, destroyed him. It's like you hear these success stories that take off, but you don't hear about like these these producers who like do that and then the movie fucking bombs. You never hear those stories.
Never hear those stories.
And there's a million of them.
You put your money in a project and it goes to dog shit.
And I think that's where like Entourage I really liked, but like the ending of the show.
That fell off.
But when he throws all his money to make the Medea movie, and everyone's like thinking this is the greatest fucking thing, and it sucks.
Billy Walsh, director, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God.
But that was my favorite
Pablo
part.
Escobar too. Like, come on, Vinny Chase.
but that's the point. It's like everyone thought that was gonna be the thing, and it's like, oh, he threw his own money at it, and it bombed.
Yeah,
and that's where I think like Hollywood doesn't tell you those stories.
Yeah,
they don't tell you about the guy who threw all his money at his script.
Those get buried,
and there's a ton of them.
Who produced John Carter, that Disney movie?
Well, the thing is like,
is he still working?
John Carter was not that bad. It was just Disney threw too much money at it.
To be fair, I've never watched the movie, so don't.
Most people haven't, and it's based off of like the famous book series. It got
destroyed by critics and
the budget. Like I think it was. I think it was something with the advertising budget where they spent so much on advertising that it would have needed to become the highest grossing movie of all time to break even. And that's why they were like, it's a loss. Like they did it with Solo too. Solo is a really good movie. The Star Wars one.
Okay. I was like, there's a few Solos.
Yeah. Sorry.
Why am I thinking about the,
yeah.
If you get the reference that I'm getting, in 1996, this is why I'm a movie weirdo. There's a movie called Solo with Mario Van Peebles. Todd probably knows this movie because Todd watched every 90s movies. Look it up.
I gotta look it up because I may
Mario Van Peebles, Solo. He's a robot soldier. Turn good. It's basically Universal Soldier, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, but with Mario Van Peebles. Did I get the year right?
Yes.
1996 or 97?
The year is 1996.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I've seen this movie.
I am a fucking weirdo. Who knows that?
Yeah,
Who knows that random fact, that random movie? And I remember that stupid. It wasn't even a good movie. But when you said Solo, why was that the first movie that came up and not the Star Wars movie? I mean, I kind of liked Solo. It was fun.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like it's actually not as bad as people thought it was.
Yeah.
But the problem was the budget because essentially they had to reshoot the whole movie after it was done.
Yeah.
So Disney kind of actively is like, cool, thanks. We're considering this a loss because we.
Can you remind me? Was that the Solo situation where the two directors were originally going to do it and then Ron Howard took over?
Yeah. So they
That's a fucking
filmed
mess.
like almost.
Because they didn't like the direction of the.
Well, I think the movie.
studio tried to
They
step
were
in.
pretty much done. Yeah, the studio was like. It sounded like it took them forever.
Oh.
And they were pretty much done with it, and they were like, "We don't like this," so they brought in Ron Howard to kind of clean up. And I think he said this publicly that he had to reshoot 70% of that movie.
Jesus Christ.
But he did it in like 6 months. Like
Kudos to Ron Howard.
it's Ron Howard. I mean, it's like if there's anyone who's going to make a hit out of anything, it'll be him.
He's a veteran and he knows how to get.
And I honestly think he made a pretty decent movie. The casting was fine.
So curious about the original vision of that movie.
Yeah.
And how that maybe they probably have said in a podcast or something, but
I'm sure they've probably
yeah,
said that. But it's the Disney machine. You gotta be careful what you say.
But yeah, I am a Disney employee. Therefore, every product, TV show, and movie from
careful with
Disney
that, buddy,
is the greatest thing ever.
Careful with
Hooray,
that.
Disney!
Because you're gonna get some fucking problems with that one.
The mouse knows all.
But yeah, so that's where it's like at least there are movies that they'll make that they'll consider that it's a loss because they just the spending gets out of control. John Carter was one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the greatest fucking movie ever made, but it was not a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
They just spent too much money on it, so it would never make a hit.
Yeah.
That's what happened with the Star Wars anthology movies is that they were trying to,
So has that essentially stopped?
yes and no. They took a break from it because they realized they were coming out too quick.
They tried to make Star Wars movie every year, didn't they?
They at one point there was 2 Star Wars movies that came out within 6 months of each other.
Yeah.
Solo and I think
Did Rogue One come out pretty much afterwards?
it was
or before?
No, it was Rogue One and then it was The Last Jedi. Then 6 months later was Solo.
That's crazy.
Because of the way movies got delayed and pushed, like it just happened to work like that. And the problem is, I think they were trying to do the Marvel thing. And my thing with the Marvel movies is they're all the same.
They are formulaic,
But
and
people are okay with that with Marvel movies. They are not okay with that with
the Star Wars movies. That's fair. Different fan base. Yeesh.
I think it's a different fan base, and I think it's also Star Wars is old now.
Interesting.
So,
What do you mean by when you say old?
what I mean is it's ingrained in generations now.
True.
Like
True.
Marvel isn't yet.
Yeah.
Marvel is big with kids. It's big. I mean, listen, we got hyped
Still
over some
relatively fresh. I mean, you could argue the Marvel universe started in 2008 with Iron Man, and then it
essentially,
went.
yeah.
So like it's a 14-year, 15-year.
Yeah, but don't forget, like Star Wars was in the 70s.
70s.
78, I think. 77, 78.
77.
76. So
New Hope.
think about that for a sec. The 70s this came out, and they're still coming out with Star Wars stuff today.
Yeah.
So that's multiple generations now. That's like so too. Like with me, like that was the one few things my whole family understood and liked. Like
With Star Wars.
With Star Wars. Like
Yeah.
my mom watched Star Wars.
Yeah.
My brothers watched Star Wars. Like both my brother. I remember getting so hyped when Phantom Menace came out. I remember I was at my brother's house. And this is before YouTube. This is before
The trailer was so hype. Like if
I
you saw a
saw-
trailer,
And this is the thing, the
theaters.
Lucasfilm
Yeah.
had the special, and I remember sitting in the living room. He was in the kitchen, and I see the logo Lucasfilms. I'm like, wait, I know what that is. Now there was always talks of them doing Star Wars Episode 1, right? There was always talks, but like no one was really informed back then. So it was like until you didn't know a movie was coming out until the trailer
came out. Yeah.
And, you know, maybe there's a couple of people who, you know, read Entertainment, you know, or, you know, Hollywood Reporter, but most people were
But
not.
Star Wars productions, I think, to their credit, are pretty
very
tight
tight-lipped.
and secretive.
Never
and,
leaks.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the trailer for the Phantom Menace and like screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm like, George, get in here. New Star Wars movie trailers on commercial. My George and his fat ass starts running. He starts running in, and he's like, I'm like, I start them all the double lightsabers, and then all of a sudden the intro, it's like, oh, Obi-Wan Kenobi, meet Anakin. I'm like, holy fuck, this is
Hype.
and I'm a kid, and look at me, I grew up with the old Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
All right, and then and I remember like him getting us tickets and us going, and then I remember being so bummed that when Attack of the Clones came out, I remember. It was a Friday night. It was the release night, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember every weekend I had to go to my dad's, right? Because my parents are divorced, so I had to go to my dad's on the weekend. So he'd pick me up on Friday night. I remember being so fucking pissed because all my friends were going to see Star Wars that night, and I couldn't go because I had to go hang out with my dad. And I remember being so fucking pissed. And I remember was like the sad kid, like my whole crew is going to see Star Wars at the midnight. This is the midnight showing.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're going to the midnight. And I'm at my dad's. And like this is also you like if you couldn't get tickets, you couldn't get tickets, right?
Right.
And I remember just sitting at my dad's computer, just like because on the weekends I would play like StarCraft and video games with my friends online.
Yeah.
Like that was like, kind of cool that they knew I was like in a different town, but they would play online games with me. And I'm sitting there like, they're going to see Star Wars, and I'm fucking here. And then my other brother calls me. He's like, hey man, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, I'm at dad's. What's up? He's like, you want to go see Star Wars tonight?
Let's fucking go.
Pretty much this is what I said. I was like, are you fucking? He's like, yeah, we'll do the midnight. Can you stay up for it? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm fucking there.
Yeah.
And I remember it was one of my coolest memories to date. And I remember we were out like way out east. And I remember he picked me up. We go to the movie theater. And he didn't really know. Like, I was in middle school. He didn't really know that, like, you don't sleep. You're up until 4 a.m. He's like, oh, you could be good to sit through this whole movie at night. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking ready. Let's go.
I mean,
And that was one of the coolest memories I have with him.
Yeah.
Was that he, like, it was like, and something tells me, I think my mom, like, said, hey, listen, he's a little bummed. Can you take him to go see Star Wars?
See Star Wars.
But I didn't know that. And all of a sudden, he's like, hey, man, you want to go see Star Wars tonight? I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to go. And he's a big Star Wars fan, too.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Both my brothers are. My dad's seen them. He don't really care, but he's seen them. My sister likes them. Like, we all, like, unanimously like this. It's, like, the one thing we all like. And I remember watching Attack of the Clones and being like, holy fucking shit, right? And then I remember Revenge of the Sith came out, and my crew, we go to the Midnights, all that stuff. But, like, those are, like, memories I have throughout my entire life.
Yeah.
You know, I remember growing up, I had never seen New Hope. I had only seen Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi because those are the only copies we had.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until years later, my mom, I remember when they started doing the special edition releases in the
That's
theater.
because I think, I want to say it's either 97 or around that year. I think for the 20th anniversary, I think they re-released it in theaters.
They did. No, the special edition.
And I remember
got re-released
my
in the
dad
theater.
took me and Xavier to see A New Hope. I think to see A New Hope in the theaters.
Yeah.
And then we didn't see the rest, but he gave me and I remember this because I think I still have it.
He had the black boxes. Yep, the Darth Vader one.
Gold
Yep.
VHS box with
Yep.
all 3 movies. And that's how I saw Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I always had them. But I had them, but I never seen New Hope, and then we saw it, and but like, so that's what I'm saying. It's like Marvel movies don't have those stories yet. They will.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be kids talking about the first time
Avengers,
they saw
yeah.
the Avengers, and like,
Yeah.
Captain America comes out, and it's like a symbol and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
There's gonna be those stories for those,
Yeah, like,
but like
down the
we
road.
already have it.
We already have it. True.
Like,
True.
and I am one out of a shit ton of people who got some stories like that. You know, you hear all the time, like, oh, this is the only thing me and my dad ever got along with.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
just
you
so
know,
universally.
how many scientists and writers came out of Star Wars?
Yeah.
And I'm like that, so that's where I think like that's why Star Wars people not saying I agree with the fan base's rage with things, because listen, I drink the Kool-Aid. Keep Star Wars coming out forever. Like I will watch, and as long as if they can turn to complete dog shit, I'm still watching them. I gotta take my kid to go see 'em.
It's one of those things that you will unabashedly continue to support and follow because it's such a permanent part of your childhood. And you know, like I'm like you, like I watch every Star Wars things that come out, you know. I finished Kenobi. You got to finish Kenobi so we can maybe talk about it an episode down the road.
Well, actually, on the actual live, with the ones that these ones where they get published, we will definitely
must be,
watch them.
especially for someone like you.
It fucking sucks. All right, not to cut you.
There's so much shit out there already.
I'm actually been pretty good with Boba Fett. I got fucked with, but Kenobi I've been okay with like kind of. I know I got a general idea of some stuff.
Okay.
But
I'm
like
be tight-lipped,
not
man.
as bad
Be
as
tight-lipped.
with but not as bad as with
Boba Fett?
Boba Fett, like straight up. But the thing was with Boba Fett, and we'll probably talk about this again, was watching it with Sam. She's not a big Clone Wars person. She doesn't know like
the history.
the super like I'm a fucking psycho when it comes to the lore of this shit.
It's funny how one bounty hunter in the original trilogy got so much hype.
He didn't. He had like 2 fucking spoken lines in the whole fucking show. But he looked fucking badass. Like,
I mean, the armor is fucking. The design is. Look at that.
He's on my wall. All right, but so it's like watching that
iconic
with someone who isn't in depth in the lore. I can see why people don't like Boba Fett because you need to be in deep because there's so many like nods and like, yo man, only someone who's put in like fucking 50,000 hours of goddamn Star Wars shit would know about this bounty hunter and that little comment and like this little thing he's using and all that other shit. Like it's like, and I was explaining it all to Sam. She's like, oh, this is actually a much better show that I know that you're telling me all this.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, this would actually be really confusing. She's like
when Cad Bane came out.
Yeah, no.
If you didn't see Clone Wars and you don't know,
no idea who the fuck he is.
Who is this weird dude with red eyes?
Sam was like, yeah, what is it?
That
Why
looks
is
like a cowboy.
When the hat came out, I was like, I knew he was in it. And I was like, oh, shit. And she's like, what? What's that? I'm like, no, you don't. Oh.
Bro, you don't know.
He was a fucking separatist bounty hunter, baby. She was like, okay. And I'm like, no. Oh, shit. So that's how he fucking dies? What? Spoilers. But it's like, but that's where I think, so that's like I said with, that's why I think with Disney kind of throwing Star Wars at people, I don't think they understood the fans. And they're super passionate and they're dickheads, but I think it's because it's been with them their entire life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, I remember the first time my mom was like, oh, Luke used the Force. I'm like, what the fuck's the Force? But I was a little kid. It's with me my entire life. So I can totally see why people hold it to, like, this certain reverence.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, even Lord of the Rings doesn't have that.
No.
And that is one of the best-selling books of all time, next to the fucking Bible.
Yeah.
And Star Wars trumps like everybody. Even if you haven't seen Star Wars, you know Star Wars.
It is universally recognized. It is universally recognized, and like you said, it's held in such reverence that as Disney tries and both rehash old characters and try and give them new stories, and also at the same time trying to create new.
Well, that's where Jon Favreau comes into play because he's like, oh. Yeah, we'll do Star Wars. They showed with like Mandalorian and Boba Fett and that you don't need Jedis to make Star Wars.
Yeah.
People love that world. They can care less about the fucking Jedis.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jedis are cool.
Yeah.
But it's not what people are going like.
And we gotta move on from the Skywalker saga. It's done.
And I think that's with like Disney. Like I think like Watiti's talking about he'll do some movies with Star Wars. They're talking about having Watiti do movies with them.
I am ready for. Because the
get weird with Star Wars. Get fucking weird.
Get weird,
yeah,
right?
I'm totally with it. Like
get weird. Maybe put it in a new setting, like a new or native or cyberpunk, futuristic. Like do get weird with it because like people will still gravitate towards it as it has a Star Wars name, you know.
Yes. And I don't think like they're not gonna get rid of the movies. I think they've learned that they need some space between the sequel trilogy and the new movies.
Yeah, they gotta. They're gonna be.
Obi-Wan was supposed to be a movie. And
Yes.
yeah, okay. That's all I know about that. But that's where it goes. You shush.
Yes.
Yes.
But you're not. Yeah, I think when they do revive, and it's gonna happen, the movies. That first one that comes out.
Oh, it's gonna make $1 billion.
It's gonna make $1 billion.
That's the thing is like they know they could sit on it for a little while
Yeah.
because no matter what, even if it's 20 years from now,
they will still get the audience for it.
yeah.
But they also want to do it. I feel like, and I could be wrong, because studios essentially only give two shits about making money, but they also want to treat a trilogy if they're gonna do a trilogy.
Well, the thing is, it's like they need to make. You got to make the first one fucking good, or nobody's gonna watch the second one.
Exactly.
You got to get like it's not getting people in to go see the first one. It's getting people.
You
to
can
go see
only
the
have
second
the Star Wars brand carry you for so much, right?
one. Yeah, like
You're gonna have to make a decent
and
movie.
like Solo, I think is an example of that where like those movies. Like I think the anthology movies were the best of the newer Star Wars movies ever made.
Right.
Like Rogue One, like the cinematography with like the ships in space, where like if they're not in the sun, you can't see them. That shit was awesome.
Yeah. Of course, there was a bit of fan service there with
There's
Vader.
always that's a cool fucking scene too.
No,
like,
listen. Darth Vader is one of the most iconic movie characters of all time.
yes.
Undisputed. Sorry,
Yes.
folks. So you give me Vader, I will watch that scene.
Yep.
You know, and you know when he comes in with the red lightsaber, it'd be like, oh shit, we're getting some prime Vader
And it was
action,
and that's what you want to see.
and that's what you want to see, baby. But also, besides the fan servicey stuff, it had a exciting, you know, heist type of story.
I think it
and
could-
Andor's getting his own show.
Yes, he is. And I think
know?
it could have been done better, but I mean, everything
Sure.
could be done better. But
Everything could be done.
like I said, I think
I kind of like the monkey character. The monk
love the mon-
character.
yeah, like, I like-
I'm one the force, one the
I
force.
like
with me.
the idea that there would be a group of people that
are
would
like
worship
so devoted,
them,
so devoted,
but have no like force power.
No force power.
Because yeah, there would be like groups that worship them.
yes. See, it sounds like those subtle little details that are like, okay, that's fucking cool. You know, it's just that sometimes when you, I don't know, I feel like if you put too much going on, then you get the midichlorians type stuff.
Yeah.
You got to pick and choose what.
And I'm not even a big hater of the midichlorian thing. Well, I also believe that it in a weird pseudo way makes sense why you wouldn't know about midichlorians in the present, but you would in the past because like there was like a big purge of like force knowledge, so like people would forget
because
about
the Jedi Temple went down and all that stuff. But I don't know. I felt like the midichlorians was George Lucas' way of saying, "Oh, there's a science between this magical telekinesis that
'cause
certain
he was
people
very
have."
much about there's no God in this universe. Like there's no religion. It's like a, you know, it's.
But I didn't
It's
think
like
it needed
it's
it.
like well, it's like with the samurais like practicing Zen.
Right.
Like-
Fair.
Like
And he did draw from Kurosawa. a lot.
oh no, that's 90%. I mean,
Yeah.
Jedis are just literally space samurai.
Yeah.
Like let's be honest. But it's with that. What I mean is like it's very much like yes, the Force is something they're trying to be one with.
Yeah.
Because like samurais and like their Zen and their Cha and like their just their core was the most important thing.
Yeah.
It was something they had to work at to obtain and to not control it, but to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And that was with
And they had values too, similar to Jedi's.
Yes.
A code. if
they
you
had
will.
a code,
They had a
and
code.
like the Jedi are very like so that's where I think where like the midichlorian thing is like yeah there's like a science behind it, but it's not so much it's not so much like well that's the reason why everything it's like they would need the okay if you're a civilization that has light speed you would be able to figure out the God particle like you would be able to figure out on
Yeah.
a scientific level why things are what they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do believe like yeah, they would know an advanced civilization as of that would definitely know how the Force worked.
Yeah.
You know, it's like but here's my other thing. It's like when things get added with like movies or like remakes, I always tell people the old ones that get erased. You can watch the old ones. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, you don't like I
Yeah, if you don't like the new
really,
stuff, go revisit the stuff that you love.
really fucking hate the sequel saga. I really hate it. It actually upsets me. But I'm like, it didn't ruin my childhood. Like, Empire Strikes Back is still there, bro. And like, they're never gonna make anything that good again. Like, it's
And you know what's funny? Like, Return of the Jedi gets a lot of shit because of the Ewoks, but if you take that away, like the Vader and Luke scenes are really well written and acted. I think there's good, military stuff there. The Emperor stuff is really good too. There are good moments in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
That not only memorable but are well written, well acted, and lends to the Star Wars mystique, right? The Ewoks obviously is like it's a meme, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to go to the Star Wars Christmas special and all that other stuff, and you want to Warwick Davis, by the way, Willow's coming. Are you gonna watch Willow?
I don't know. Probably.
I'm kind of intrigued.
We probably will because we're gonna need something to talk about.
Yeah.
But
It's a fantasy.
I liked Willow. I didn't love. I watched it as a kid. I was a perfect age for it. I thought it was fun in time, but I don't know. There's something about there's certain movies I can watch 1,000 times, and then there's a movie I watch it once and I'm good.
Did you fuck with Dragonheart, the Dennis Quaid movie?
My brother took me to go see Dragonheart, and I loved it as a kid.
Yes. That's why we're good buddies.
Bro, I once again,
Sean Connery as the voice of Dragon.
We were the
Come on.
perfect age for that.
Yeah.
Dragons. It's fucking Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Like evil. Like it's a simple, stupid story, but it was really
memorable.
It was
memorable, dude. Like, I'll be like,
look to the stars, bro. It was so fucking good. Like, it had a good story. It had a good
good
message.
soundtrack too, I think.
Yeah, no, it was essentially, it's man, that was good stuff. But
in terms of Willow, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm thinking of characters that were in movies now get their own spin-offs a lot these days. Because Hollywood's running out of ideas. Just, make
hey
a movie
man, you write a good character, they're gonna. I mean, also books do this shit too. Like it's like. And I was talking about earlier, there's a book series called the Anna Harrington series. There's about fucking 20 of these books, and I've been reading tons of them. And they're not great reads, but I just like the universe and the characters and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then these writers do spin-offs of those favorite characters. It's every genre of media does this.
Yeah.
It's just nobody.
I am somewhat intrigued by Willow.
I mean, I'll probably watch it.
I'll probably watch it too.
I don't know what kind of story you're gonna tell.
Yeah.
It's
but shit, I'd watch a remake of Dragon Quest.
Dragonheart, you mean?
Dragonheart.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dragon Quest is a video game.
Dragon Quest is a video game.
But yeah.
Fuck.
Cool. But I think we got.
We
got about an hour and 40 in, so I think
this will be kind of the flow of it.
I think essentially
we touch on a lot of things.
Yeah, we did,
which I think will be the norm.
That's essentially
we'll have a starting point. What was our starting point here?
Starting point was we started talking about.
Do you remember? I don't remember.
I don't remember now. I was an hour and 42 minutes ago, bro.
Oh no.
No, it's essentially we
went
talk
through movies a lot.
We start off with the movies and then we talk about stuff. We go back to movies. It's we just kind of as long
Yeah.
The goal is if it's talking about pixels, then we're good. It's.
Yeah.
But
so I think our first episode, and again, we can talk about during the week, in terms of what we want to talk about, because essentially it'll be a jumping off point, and it may veer into other things.
Keep some notes of some ideas of bullet points you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm going to do. Just kind of oh yeah, that was an idea. That's something I want to explore for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's a good thing that it's if conversation starts to die, I'm shit, I got fucking 40 minutes to fill. Yeah. Wait, I got a bullet point. What about this? You know, it's kind of roll. So it kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's essentially what they all do. It's
yeah, exactly. We have a jump off point. Mm-hmm. And then we can talk about various things that. And
it should be what we're talking about. We could also
now. Have that pivot to something else for a little bit and then find our way back like we did here.
Yeah, I think that would be a really easy format to maintain.
Yeah.
It's got like longevity because it's like it should be like we start off with what are we watching, what are we playing, what are we reading, what are we doing, like what's the pixel of the day, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then
God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. Oh my god.
Yo, bro,
I am so hyped for that game. I can't even tell you.
I'm really excited for it.
The first one, in the last 5 years, is my favorite game.
That's probably most people's games. Like I know people who don't touch fucking video games and they fucking platinum that game. Like there was everybody that had a console was playing it. I remember my old boss would remote play from his office. And I remember having to tell my crew, because he can do it doesn't mean you can do it. And I remember like, what the fuck? Like I'm like, boss, you can't be playing fucking God of War in the office. Like it's like what the fuck? It's like YouTube and Netflix is one thing, but like
too funny.
But yeah, no, I think this is a good. We're vibing off each other pretty well. I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think.
The good thing is we can always edit things that we're like.
Yeah,
actually,
and then our schedule. Listen, our schedule is flexible, dude. Like, if we have time Sunday, we can do our first episode. But if you want to push it to next weekend, I'm down for that too.
Yeah. Let me see how tomorrow goes. But essentially, all we truly need to do is book in like 3 hours.
Yes.
It's like 2 hours to actually do recording, and then like an hour, just to kind of loosen up, relax.
Yeah. We gotta. Yeah. And then I think once you hand or upload
I'm gonna give you
the
this
test run
to kind of like so you can fuck around with the audio and
see what I can do with audio. See if we can do like
because once I get like true monitoring equipment, like so like with the microphone with the because I'm pretty sure I was like in and out all over the place on this.
Yeah. And I remember you were signaling to me to get closer to the mic. I was like, okay.
Because essentially, if you're here, you're not being picked up.
Right. And I'll bring my headphones too next time. So
because I'll get an audio splitter because I knew you were getting away.
Yeah.
But
and then
you didn't.
I will also know like if I have my headphones. Okay.
Yeah, because like essentially, if you're right here,
like
I know. Like I can see on the mic I'm getting picked up, but I can't hear it from here, so I'm not exactly
got it.
So I'm curious to see how the audio is coming out, like because I'm only getting the pure feed right here.
Yeah,
I'm not getting it from the recording. Now the recording, I'm checking the meter and I'm keeping an eye on the meter and it's picking up shit. So either I'm blowing out this audio all day or it's solid. But but that's where that's where you can.
Yeah,
this is the
I'll
one
test
where you
it out tomorrow.
Rip it apart, clean it up, do what you can. This is like this isn't gold here. So this is like
this is just a test from the
essentially it's 2 hours of you just so you can like mess around with the equipment. See
totally.
And you can give me notes like, yo, bro, you were blowing out the mic. We gotta like work on the settings.
Yeah.
But I think this is gonna be pretty cool. So
cool, man. Yeah. So let me know if Sunday's good. If not, we push it next weekend, Ben.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I could probably get Sunday in. But like I said, let me see how tomorrow goes.
Totally.
I did promise Sam a date, so I gotta see.
Yeah, no. You let me know, and then we can always push back to next weekend.
Yeah. And next weekend's actually pretty. Yeah, next Sunday. Yeah, the following Sunday I'm pretty good. Yeah, so. Yeah, we can definitely. This is definitely obtainable.
Cool, man. This was fun.
Yeah, and like I said, once we want to start adding microphones, then I will. If we're gonna start bringing in people to talk, that's when we can invest in get a better mixer, like a heavier duty one where I can actually do the live I can actually do live edits.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
Because here, like, I can kind of do it here and a little bit here, but like this one, I could
if it's just me and you, manageable.
This is fine, but if we get multiple people, because then I'm gonna also need more inputs, and then I also want to see how these mics really.
Yeah, if we need to buy something, let me know, and then I'll split it like we did with this stuff.
Yeah. No, like I said, I mean, we're not talking about. I'm not looking.
I know.
Like a tri mixer for fucking $20,000, but. But if we're gonna do
he'd be working radio, he can get us that shit.
He actually told me he actually has equipment, so I'm curious what he has.
I'd be curious next time we have a D&D sesh.
I'll ask him because he says, I think he said he has some of the actual equipment because he was before COVID. He was trying to get a podcast off the ground.
Oh, fun.
And I mean, he worked in radio, so he has a general idea.
And he has a great voice for radio,
absolutely. And
that's why I said you and I, we have are we good with radio?
I'm like, I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll find out, right?
But I think
there's audio filters for us, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think so. But if not, like there's another mixer that we could get that we can really do some cool stuff with it and then, go from there. But cool.
Cool. End session.
Ending the mic.